Greetings, fam. We used to have an expression back in the day called "I'm between a rock and a hard place." And it meant that you didn't know where to go with something because there was just no winning no matter how hard you tried. And I got a comment on my last video regarding my attire because I tend to wear my African dresses, which a lot of them are off the shoulder because it's very hot. It's hot in my apartment, and I don't have the money to run the air conditioning all day, every day. I just won't do it. It's very expensive, and I'm not going to allow Con Edison to pimp me like that. So I wear what I can when I'm doing these videos because they take a long time. Even though you get the finished product and it may look like it was very easy, it's not. And so I'm between a rock and a hard place with these some of the commenters, some of you who will not even get understand the message, will not even gain anything from the video, but will find the time to point out my faults, the fact that I mispronounce things, the fact that because of the dress I'm wearing I look naked. That tells me where your mind is, because I'm never naked and I'm never revealing any parts of my body. The most that you will see is maybe my shoulders and my upper part, from my shoulders up. There's never anything explicit. So I just want to put that out there, that you don't have to ever worry about me being naked in the video. And if I was naked, you wouldn't know it, because I sure wouldn't show you that I'm naked. This is not the Naked Hollywood show. It's a show about knowledge, and I just wish that some of you would focus on the content and less on me. So having said that, today's video is really important because it almost ties into that. It dives into programming, and so many of you are so programmed to look for the negative in things that you can't even see the positive. And so I want to talk about the MK Ultra programming. Now, it's been touched on, but there's also been a lot of things that have been left out. And today's video is entitled Mariah and Other MK Ultra Slaves. So she's not the only one, but I'm going to talk about her in particular because someone, I don't remember the commenter's name, had asked me if I would do a video on Mariah. So I'm going to talk about what I do know about her, and then I'm going to tie it into the others in her situation who have also been affected by this programming. And thank you always for watching. Thank you for your comments, and stay focused on the content, fam. Okay, God bless you. MK Ultra is a method of mind control that is used for many different operations. Although some people say that it is not being used currently, that is a lie. It's being used for assassins and especially for sex slaves. Now, many of the people that you see on television or hear on the radio have undergone this traumatic programming. And the reason this project was named Monarch programming is because the victim undergoes a similar transformation, such as a monarch butterfly would. Now, this brings me to a rap that I wrote years ago. And it was so funny because the only part of that rap I can remember is the part that says, "I am the caterpillar who became the butterfly, and your only claim to fame is you were once my guy." And the ironic thing about it is it speaks of a transformation. And this is where the monarch symbolism is represented, pertaining to the metamorphosis of this beautiful insect from a caterpillar to a cocoon and then to the butterfly, which is the new creation. Now, another reason some use the butterfly symbolism, and you'll see that many people use this symbolism, too many to even keep track of. I put up a few here, but there's so many more. And this is because it represents when a person is undergoing any type of trauma, especially that introduced via electroshock, you have a feeling of lightheadedness, and it's as if one is floating or fluttering like a butterfly. And at this point, the victim reaches dissociation, where they become disconnected from pain. And this explains the love for butterflies also, because it represents a type of freedom. Now, Mariah Carey, who is the star of this video, she had a hit album entitled Butterfly, and she has used butterflies and rainbows as her trademark for years. She's currently separated from her last handler, Nick Cannon, but she was first handled and married to the head of Sony, who was also Lindsay Lohan's programmer and handler, Tommy Mottola. And when Mariah became free from Tommy Mottola, she stated in press releases that she suffered emotional and mental abuse. And there was probably physical and sexual abuse as well. Now, I can remember distinctly being at a party where she was there with Tommy, and she had on she showed up after him. He had showed up. It was a Sony party. And he had showed up, and people were inquiring where she was, and he was saying she was on her way. And she showed up in a very sexy dress. Mariah, as you all know, loves to dress sexy. And I remember Tommy turning around and looking at her and said, "How could you embarrass me? You come here dressed like a whore. You're my wife now." And she was crushed, because I'm sure that wasn't her intention to look like a whore. But this is what he called her, and it was within earshot of everyone. I witnessed this personally. And so he was very controlling, and needless to say, for the rest of the marriage, she dressed conservatively. Now, I want to just say, when it comes to beta programming, because I believe that he was the first person responsible for her beta programming, it has a lot to do with aesthetics, with the outer appearance of the person. And this leads back to what I was saying in the beginning of my video, how people tend to want to make judgments on me based on my appearance. Well, this is something that is part of programming. We are programmed to form a stimuli in our heads based on how people look. And with beta, it's sexual programming. So these are people who are put in place to stimulate sexual ideas and thoughts about them. And the programming eliminates all learned moral convictions and stimulates the primitive instinct, which is devoid of inhibitions. And a lot of times these people are programmed to believe that they are cats. And this is why there's this cat altar that comes out. And you see it exhibited in a lot of the cat clothing representative of animal prints and so forth. And I'm going to show you a few dozen of those. But also in this program is the blonde hair. If you notice, especially with black women, but not exclusively to black entertainers, once they develop a certain degree of notoriety, the hair color changes. All of a sudden, everyone wants to be Barbie, which is, associated with the blonde hair. And even Mariah, who is a mixed woman, when she first came out, she used to have dark, long, curly, and natural hair. And she sang with soul, with feeling. Today, she looks like a Barbie doll, and she sings about how insatiable her desire for sex is. And this is not the same woman who used to sing Emotions and Vision of Love, which was a beautiful, almost spiritual song. You treated me kind, sweet destiny, carried me through desperation to the one who was waiting for me. Okay, so I'm a little off key, but it was a love song, a true love song, not a sex song, but a love song. And so in this, I have to say that if we time travel, let's just time travel back to the original beta program sex kitten Marilyn Monroe so that we can find the explanation for this. Now, industry insiders convinced Norma Jean, who was Marilyn's given name, to undergo aesthetic surgery to change her name to Marilyn Monroe and to change her hair color to platinum blonde. Now, Monroe's sensual dumb blonde persona allowed her to land several roles in movies, and it began a career in a culture that was known as Hollywood. And she became the standard for beauty. This is why many women after her, they were all these bleached blondes. If you remember, if you go back into history and look at the movie stars of the 30s, the 40s, and so forth, most of them were bleached blondes because this was considered sexy. And even today, this standard is still used. It's an old Hollywood standard that just keeps being regurgitated, and that making women feel that there was even a commercial for bleach, for hair dye that said, it was from Clairol, and it said, "Is it true blondes have more fun?" And that was brainwashing women into thinking that you're going to have more fun now that if you have your hair blonde, you're going to become more attractive and you're going to be envied and so on and so forth. And the other thing, back to the tattoo, to the Monarch, is Mariah has a butterfly tattooed at the base of her spine. And many female porn stars also have dragons, serpents, blue, green stars tattooed in the same place. And this is commonly referred to as a tramp stamp, but it is also a branding of sorts, and it's placed there because this is where the base of the chakra is located. And that's responsible for a lot of your sexual energy. I will put it in clear terms. The reason that the tattoo at that area is called a tramp stamp is because usually the only time someone can see it is when they're intimate with you. At least that used to be the case. Now with lowrider jeans, you can actually see a lot of people showing it off. But there was a time when you covered your behind and people could not see if you had a tattoo at the base of your spine, which was right above your butt crack. Okay, so beta, what does beta mean? Well, this is the second Greek letter, and it represents the sexual models and sexual alters that the programmers are creating. Now, the primitive part of the brain is involved in this type of program, and an early sexual abuse event will be used to anchor this programming. So these sexual slaves will develop sexual abilities that are far beyond what the public is even aware of, that you can even imagine possible. And they will also receive the worst kind of abuse, far beyond what most people can picture. And the beta alters generally, again, see themselves as cats. And this occurs with both men and women. So today, more than ever, many young stars are raised in the entertainment industry to follow in Marilyn's footsteps. And it's almost as if it was all planned out for them. They're manipulated by these handlers. They are led to fame and fortune, but they also go through this trauma-based mind control, abuse, exploitation, suffer mental breakdowns, and sometimes they die. Many of them kill themselves to get away from this because they're tired. They're tired of being used. They're tired of being programmed, and in a lot of cases, the programming breaks down. These female celebrities today, many of them are still channeling Marilyn Monroe. This woman has been dead for over 50 years, and almost 100 years, actually, she's been dead. But they're still channeling her. And it's almost like it's a sick requirement by the puppeteers who are behind the MK Ultra programming. They make it a point to identify their slaves to the clueless masses. And, you don't have to take my word for it. Because how many photo shoots featuring these major stars with they're either channeling Marilyn, they're either engulfed in butterflies, or they're in these animal prints. Are they all coincidence? No. The resemblance is not aesthetic. It is indeed a fact that these people are programmed sex slaves. And if you look at their shows, just like Marilyn was transformed into a sexual being, everything about her exuded sex, look at today's popular entertainment. Twerking is now the most popular dance that's being done on stage, and it's the jerking of the pelvic area. And I don't have to show you a clip of it because you know exactly what it is. I bet you there's even a kid, and I've seen, oh God, please save the children. I've even seen the little ones doing this dance, which is very provocative, and it brings attention to the sexual organs. And so my point is that if they're being programmed to do this, to excite sexual activity and sexual thoughts, then what do you think is happening to you? The entertainers are programmed to program you. And it's almost like in the 60s when they said make love, not war. They wanted to take the people away from the events that were happening in Vietnam, where millions of innocent Vietnamese who never did anything to Americans were killed. So while the hippies over here were getting high and making love, and some of them indeed were protesting war, but most of them weren't even thinking about it because they were too high and too busy making love. Well, that's the same thing that's happening today. We're being programmed to have sex, to get high, and to not look at the bigger picture around us, which is the world, which are things going on, which are people in other countries who are starving while we have so much, which are people in other countries who are being killed and blown up, and who are innocently being killed and blown up. To take our minds away from the innocent people here in our own country who are being shot and killed by mistake. How many mistakes have to happen before something changes? And to the other tragedies that are going on, to child abuse and human trafficking. There are children that are being kidnapped and sold to rich pedophiles, and all of the things that are going on that we as a people should be focused on and are not, because the entertainers are doing what they're programmed to do, which is why they're paid the big bucks, which is to distract us. So I'm not going to elaborate anymore on this. I think I've pretty much covered it. But indeed know that, don't believe that it's not being done anymore. Programming is being done. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons those shows on your television set are called programs is because that's exactly what they're designed to do. Program you. Okay. As always, prayer is definitely needed. Father, in the name of the Most High, Jesus, I ask you to just give the people some type of discernment when they watch these videos, so that they will not get distracted by things that have no relevance to the message, that they will focus in on the message, because that is what is important, Lord. And I ask you, if there is something I am doing that is distracting the people from the message, then help me. Help me. I am not above reproach, Lord. So I want to do my job to the best of my ability. And if there is any way that I can take the focus off myself and put it completely on your word, let me know, Lord. I thank you. I thank you for the ability to make these presentations. I thank you for guiding me into what topics I should address and what I should stay away from. I thank you always for the subscribers. God bless them for wanting to be informed. Thank you for those who check in. And thank you as well for the haters and those who have nothing edifying to add to the content, but they let me know that they are present by their commentaries, whether it be good or bad. Help them to find peace in their lives so that they can move onward and upward from the pettiness that they engage in, and the attention that they seek by tearing down others, basically, which is what they do. Help them to recover from this, because it too is a type of programming. Lord, cover the people who've had troublesome beginnings in life that have caused them to be angry and to want to hurt others. And also, Lord, help us as God-fearing people to not be so judgmental. In my reports, I've been accused of being judgmental, but I am simply reporting. So I do not have a personal judgment. I try to be unbiased, but I do quote the word and I do go according to scripture, and it's not always the popular vote. And people need to understand that the Christian walk is not always the popular walk. You're going to make many enemies. But Lord, I would rather have enemy with the world than have enemy with you. So as long as I am doing your work, I feel vindicated in my choices, Lord. And I thank you, thank you, thank you. To you be the most glory. In Jesus' name, amen.